Y'all, y'all ready for this?
Welcome to the Be Different Brewery Tour.
Final stop, Fretboard Brewing.
Yeah.
Produced and edited by co-hosts Nick Given and Greg Witcher. Hosted as always by Brad Redford.
You want me to redo everything, right? Okay, yeah, no problem at all. You know how much I love doing intros. So. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right, welcome everybody into the Be Different podcast. Brad Redford is here, and today the Be Different crew is at Fretboard Brewing here in Blue Ash in Cincinnati. So if you haven't been here before, make sure you make it happen after listening to this interview. Today I am joined by Joe and Mitch, and with that I'm going to enter in the two studs that I have across the street from me here. And no, I'm not talking about Nick Given and Greg Witcher. And Joe, I'm going to open it up to you first. Can you just kind of explain to the listeners who you are and how this whole thing got started here?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Brad. I don't know if I can live up to stud, but...
oh, you absolutely can.
The name's Joe Sierra. I'm one of the founding partners here. My background, I guess first and foremost, no surprise, is music. I consider myself a musician before anything else. Some of the founders and I have been in bands going all the way back to 20 years, cut our own albums. I was a drummer in that band. I also play guitar and piano. And obviously along the way picked up a passion for beer as well. So really what we sought out to do here at Fretboard is create an experience where music and beer align and perfectly complement each other. So I think there's 4 founding partners. I think if you ask me, there's 2 of us that would say we're a music venue first that brews its own beer, and there's 2 of us that say we're a brewery that has music, right? And I think that combination, we're constantly trying to push the brewery forward in both facets and to evolve not only our liquid and the products that we're making in our tanks, but evolve who we are as a music venue, who we're bringing in, and what experience that we're bringing to folks in the tap room.
So Fretboard is truly where music and beer intermix and they find their happy place. So,
yes,
and I'd imagine that a lot of your late night drumming sessions or keyboard sessions involve some alcohol along the way, I would assume, and they fuse together.
That's a pretty fair assumption. Absolutely. Going all the way back to I guess 22 years ago it was Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, right?
Okay,
so
yeah.
lots of music practice and late night rehearsals and 12 packs of Sierra Nevada fueled our fire for a long time.
Yeah.
So.
All right, and when we got a stud to the left of you, Joe, we got Mitch here, and we were talking a little bit off the air, but Mitch was a hooper back in the day in New York.
To some degree, I was a hooper, yes.
Yeah, and I think we still have a number of basketball listeners on the podcast. Yeah, back in your high school days, you played with a number of guys who starred in their days at Syracuse.
Syracuse University, yep. So I went to a local high school right out of in the suburbs of Syracuse called Jamesville DeWitt.
Okay.
Shout out to the Red Rams. I'll do that while I'm here.
Absolutely. You always got to shout out your roots, so I'll give one to Frankenmuth High School now.
Super cool. So, a couple of guys that I played with went on to play at Syracuse. Don't really have a claim to fame. I'm not played small forward, had a lot of fun with those guys, but now I'm in Cincinnati, and I'm slinging beer and doing graphic design for these guys, so it's awesome.
And you can't see how tall that Mitch is if you're listening to this on audio or on video because he's sitting down right now, but he's being a little bit humble right now. He's 6'5", and I guarantee in high school he was going in and out, pick and pop like nobody's business.
Yeah, I was called Dirk Nowitzki of the YMCA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
I had longer hair at one point. It was a little bit longer than yours.
Well, if you're taking on the Dirk Nowitzki mindset and the Dirk Nowitzki name, then I hope you had the 1 foot step back.
Yeah, no, I did. No, I'm left-handed though, so it was a little bit different.
That had to have been part of your arsenal.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go down the music rabbit hole first, and Joe.
First, though, I'm 5'5". I don't get the tall adjective over here.
I guess it depends who you're talking to, but I'm 6'1" and Mitch is 6'5", so I don't know if I can give you that today.
Shout out to my sister who's 4'9".
Nice.
So,
All right.
Actually, the tallest one in the family.
There you go, Joe.
So, come on. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, well, let's go down the music rabbit hole first. Yeah. And so, Joe, who are your big influences? And then as far as a musician, what do you like to play?
Sure. My biggest influence growing up was Led Zeppelin. Huge John Bonham fan. Drums were my first instrument, and so I always tried to mimic John John Bottom, get the fast foot bass drum going on.
Mm-hmm.
Probably by and large listen to more Zeppelin than anything.
Okay.
Then progress my way into big hair bands. I really appreciate the Poisons and the Def Leppards and those bands of the world, and then kind of went down the metal path. Love myself some Iron Maiden, Pantera, Ministry, Metallica, things of that nature. Then floated over to hip hop. Love myself some
Nice. Love to
Dr.
hear that.
Dre and Snoop, and big Public Enemy fan. Then I loved the Merge, Anthrax, and all that thing that was going on. So those were a lot of my major influences. From a playing standpoint, I would say what I play now has evolved just kind of like you do as a listener. Right now, I'm huge into more singer-songwriter stuff, famously Ray LaMontagne, Damien Rice, things of that nature. I love playing acoustic guitar. I haven't picked up a drumstick in about 2 years, so but acoustic guitar I can pick up and play in my living room, and I really enjoy kind of doing those sorts of things. Avett Brothers are a huge influence on me right now, and so yeah, I love it all. I try not to discriminate. There's only one genre that I would say I can't stand.
Which is what? What is that?
Tell us.
It's country. I am
Cool.
not a huge country
Nick's
fan.
over there pumping his fist.
So
I just can't do it.
See, I'm in the same boat. And Mitch, I don't want to speak for you, but
I'm in the same boat.
For whatever reason, I just have never been able to connect with it. Now, if I summer day drinking a beer, I'm not going to rock the boat if I'm in somebody else's boat. But if I'm the one man in the ship, I don't think a country song is ever going to hit the platform.
It's good with the words.
Yep. No,
Is that fair?
Yeah, no, it's good.
very fair.
We're gonna lose a lot of fans here in Blue Ash after that. People who are gonna watch this are gonna. I don't think we're going back to Fretboard. They don't like country music.
And to be fair, it's more that country pop
Yeah,
marriage.
exactly. I agree with that.
I can go roots
Yep.
and listen to
Like true
extremely
old country.
folk
Mhm.
and
I can dig it.
I can.
in a
I mean,
regard.
Dolly Parton, Reba.
You gotta respect it.
I can do
It's an
all
art
of that,
form.
but that.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Florida Georgia line and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I
Taylor
know.
Taylor Swift, you're not front row.
Yeah.
No, maybe for my daughter, but.
All right, so if you had,
So-
and I kind of asked you this off the air too, but if you had like a top lineup, if you had 4 bands, one person that could come into Fretboard and play on the stage that is right next to us, who would those 4 bands be?
So wait. Is he picking 4 himself, or is it and then me 4, or is it just
So
2 and 2?
I would like 4 and 4.
4 and
I'd
4.
like 4
All right,
from
cool.
Joe and 4 from Mitch.
Hit it, Joe.
Do they have to be among the living?
No,
Like current
no.
artists right now?
There's no rules
Holographic.
to this. No rules at all.
Well, I'd have to have Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
I'd have to have Pink Floyd. I would have to have Pantera and Tool.
Okay.
Those would be my 4.
That's pretty epic. Okay, so I would go Stevie Wonder, number
wow.
1 for sure. I would go. There's a band called Krungbin out of Houston, Texas. They're like an Afrobeat, modern band, pretty awesome. I would probably go The Roots as a hip hop act, and then, man, I would probably bring back the Allman Brothers because that's my dad's favorite band of all time. And I
Okay.
think having my dad come out, if I could also bring back the Allman Brothers to the living times, that would be an awesome show.
That'd be pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty incredible list for both of you guys.
Yeah.
Awesome. We're going to definitely put that out and see if our listeners agree with you guys.
Cool.
We'll figure out a
it.
promotion maybe that we can do around that.
All right.
So talk about some of the maybe the local artists or regional artists that you've been able to have here.
Yeah.
And how often are bands coming? Are you highlighting certain days or any festival type on the way here at Fretboard?
Sure. You want to take it or?
I want you to start with the beginning of some of the bigger acts that we've had, and then I can talk about what we're doing in the future.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I would say creating a music venues is equally as challenging as creating a brewery as well. I mean, we've got to go through all the same motions as a business to try and establish ourselves as a place that I would say true local regional artists want to play. Right, they got to be sold on Fretboard and what this place stands for as well, and we got to kind of learn that whole world of promoting and marketing and make sure everything's jiving as one place. I would say we're getting more established, right? But we got a lot of great venues in town, like Bogarts and things of that nature, where people have been playing for 20 years, right? So if you are an artist that's maybe semi-national or something, and you're playing a show at Taft Theater or PNC Pavilion, and you want to book kind of a supplemental night the evening before or after, candidly, we're not at the top of the list, right? But we're getting a lot better. Bands are starting to reach out to us. Last year, we had a huge event when Foreigner was in town.
Oh, cool.
A couple of the gentlemen that play for Foreigner now, they came to the tap room and they did an acoustic show, and we sold tickets for it and booked the place. That was a huge act for us. We put on a festival last month and had a great artist by the name of Kung Fu.
Yeah.
And the previous night was a band called the Fritz. They were national acts for us, brought a lot of people, great acts, and we were very excited to have them in. I think some of the challenges that maybe we've had and we're working through candidly is I believe music should be free. All right. And and because I want it to be a music venue, I want the talent to be top tier, but sometimes you got to ticket and pay for top tier. So I think there's a little bit of contradiction in the concept. In the first year and a half, I think we only did one ticketed event, right? And so just monetarily speaking, it's challenging to reach for those top tier talents and to make it free because we've got capacity as a primary issue, right? If I can't pay for the bands, we've got this whole thing. So I think we've got some concepts. We did our first Fretboard live event this past Sunday.
Yep.
Had a band called Big Something in, which they were fantastic.
Yeah.
And what we did was we ran the tap room to our normal hours at 8 o'clock, and then we made it a ticketed event from 8 to 11. So I think our Fretboard fans can see some continued focus down that path where it's free during our normal hours. We always have free music Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But then in the evenings, once the tap room closes, we're going to kind of switch the venue over to a more ticketed, music-centric venue that has awesome beer.
Okay. Yeah. And we do a really good job with the jam band crowd for sure. Any of the cover bands that we bring in, even that are the Almond Butter Band, for instance, they just played here. They're a tribute band to the Allman Brothers. Packed the place. I mean, just to the wall. People could hardly move, get to the bar, get their drinks. But we do a really good job with that genre. We're also trying to fill a void of reggae music in here. So we actually have a series of beers. They're Imperial Stouts. We release 4 of them a year. We call them our reggae series of Imperial Stouts. They're all barrel-aged when we can them. But we try to bring in reggae acts a little bit more often than I think a lot of places in town do. But we're not trying to stick within that wheelhouse. We're trying to expand. So we're on the verge of that right now. Our 2-year anniversary is coming up in November 8th and 9th. We're going to be working with Coal Mine Records out of Loveland. They're a national record company, but it's local. They've got acts all over the country. We're going to be bringing in Neil Francis out of Chicago. He's a New Orleans soul, funk, kind of 70s throwback. Pretty awesome band. And then we've got a heavy blues, kind of along the lines of the Black Keys. They're called GA20. They're out of Boston. And both of those acts are signed to Coal Mine, so we're going to be working with them. And then hopefully this relationship carries over to next year, and we can start bringing in a lot of their acts, whenever they're on tour. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, between the beer side and the music side, both of those take a significant amount of time. So
yeah, for sure.
Are you guys separating your team, or you have a group that's really focused on pushing beer with your brewmasters and getting the beer out, and then, trying to get acts, you've had big acts here, and trying to, move forward and get even larger acts. It's almost like you got to have 2 teams constantly working on the 2 of those ventures.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Here, do you want my hat? Because I'll take your hat and we'll just swapping them around.
You're more plugged in.
So I could take this one. So we are.
You could take the jacket off.
It's nuts. Exactly. I'll tell you, it's nuts.
I just imagine because the hours would be just.
Yeah, it's crazy. Some days, I'll leave here and I'll go home and I'll do all of my photo editing and things that I could have been doing at work. I'll do them at home, so I have time while I'm at work to be communicating with people and doing that side of the job. but we all wear many hats here. It's a small team, and basically we have a committee of 5 of us that handles all of our events. And then there is about 4 of us that sit down for all of the music side of those events as well. And then half of those people are in the brewery working on brew stuff. Half of them work at the bar. So we're all kind of sales, exactly right. So I would say there's 10 of us that handle the majority of everything in here, other than actual bartending, which is saying a lot, I think, for us to be doing well and having fun and not wanting to cut each other's heads off, for it to be a small operation, and manpower, but get the job done it really says something to what we're doing. I really like it.
Well, this is different than any place that we've been or any brewery that I'm familiar with at all. I mean, the brewery's trying to merge the two, and I'm sure every 6 months, do those goals change in terms of how you want it to look? Because it's not as, I don't know, maybe not as, I don't want to call it streamlined, but it's a different way of, approaching this space.
Right.
So it just requires maybe a little bit more of that like critical analysis on which direction is
more important
at the time, and then it might switch and go back and forth, and so it just
I mean,
as a business owner, being very flexible, with where things are trending, it's
where your
be
money's
a challenge,
going and all that stuff. Chicken or the egg.
Exactly, and it's pretty challenging because you don't know what's impacting what. Right? There's market trends going on the liquid side, and you gotta self-reflect and analyze, are you doing right on that side? And then when you look at what's going on in the tap room as well, it's not as easy as the liquid, because the tap room's a different beast than what's going on in the retail. So our brand as a liquid's doing one thing out in the marketplace, but in the tap room, with what we're trying to accomplish, are we struggling because maybe we booked the band once too many times, or we got the wrong music, or there's a lot of analysis that's going on that front as well, and they sustain each other and they can bring each other down, and we're really trying to build 2 businesses at once. And so it's exciting, challenging. Mitch mentioned the staff. We're doing a brewery battle of the bands coming up in 3 or 4 weeks, where we've got a lot of breweries in town putting together bands. Brink Brewery's got a band. Darkness Brewing's got a band. Grainworks, us, and then we've got guest judges coming in to judge the bands. But
what day is that?
So that's going to be the 17th. October 17th is a Thursday, and the 24th. So there are 2 preliminary rounds. We're going to have 4 bands each night. We're actually finalizing those 8 bands, essentially. We're one of them, just to make sure that scheduling is not going to be an issue. GABF, Great American Beer Festival, is next week?
Next week.
So we had to push it back because there was some scheduling issues. So now we're just trying to finalize everything. It's going to be a small first launch of this concept for us, but if it goes well this first time, I think we're going to have a lot of fun with it next year and try to make it even bigger. So
I love the idea of that. I've seen the breweries, they do the boxing. I think, is it 50 West?
They did Punch Out.
One of the best craft brewery events, in the country, honestly.
Yeah, and that's become a massive event. So, all right, well, I have 3 beers in front of me, and I've looked at them way too long, so I feel like I'm ready to learn a little bit here. You guys do your education for me as to which beer you want me to go ahead and try first.
Try your far left.
Okay, I'm going far left here.
Yep. This is the Mellowship product, which is a Red Hot Chili Peppers reference off the Blood Sugar Sex Magic album.
Yep.
Mellowship is a combination of our favorite beers. When I say our, I would say
consumer.
Yeah, consumer and our. It's honestly one of the only beers I drink.
That's pretty good.
It's a light lager. It's actually a Pilsner, true to Pilsner style from a grain makeup standpoint. But we do dry hop it with an American hop.
Okay.
Which makes it very similar. You've probably heard of IPL, India Pale Lager. We call it a India Session Pilsner.
Okay.
India, because we do dry hop the beer, so it's very aromatic. It's got some of the nose that you would get out of
nice floral.
An IPA, nice floral aroma. But it finishes very crisp, very clean, and it's only 4.9%. So that's where obviously it makes it sessionable. It's it's kind of become my go-to. I'm an
I mean,
IPA guy, but I can't
love
drink
that.
IPAs all day.
Yeah.
So.
Now, hey, Nick, can you take a second and try? Have you tried this? I'd like you to come here and try it.
Yeah,
it's pretty.
Fellowship's
It's
awesome.
pretty good.
It's a sleeper for sure. You know,
And I
it's
know
one
you
of those
heard the
beers
description, and Nick's more of a beer connoisseur than I am,
Yeah.
but I absolutely love that.
Yeah,
I mean,
Appreciate
that
it.
is really good.
thank you.
It's pretty good, isn't it? you take a couple nice sips there, Given.
Yeah, that's the way you got to do it.
God, that's fantastic.
And that was kind of the goal, right?
Yeah, that's really good.
You know, I always like to say with that beer, my dad is your typical, you know, older generation Bud Light, Coors Light drinker,
Yeah. Well.
and he can drink that beer.
Yeah.
And my wife is a total hophead. She loves Rhinegeist Truth, Fathead's Headhunter, all the massively hot beers, and she likes that beer as well. And that's really what we were trying to accomplish.
Yeah, it's definitely got that taste and flavor. It's kind of right in the middle, so it's got a little bit more strength than definitely a Coors Light or a Bud
Yeah,
Light.
yeah.
But that is fantastic.
Awesome.
All right, let's move over. Let's move to the middle. Is that you
Yeah.
want to move to the middle one here?
Yep. So that's Reba. It's
Okay.
a strawberry blonde ale. Joe, I'm gonna let you continue. You're on a roll with these things. The Bootsy's yours too. You got to talk about that. So go ahead with Reba
all right,
first.
All right. Reba's obviously a Reba McIntyre. It's got a nice rosé color,
Mm-hmm.
right? So obviously the pink and Reba's hair color, and we tied it all in. It's a nice light strawberry blonde. Again, sessionable. It's 5.3% alcohol by volume. We really try and want to create beers you can drink a lot of. Right, it's what we do.
Yeah.
But you know, typically when you're at a social gathering, you're at a concert, you're there for 3 or 4 hours. You know, not everybody Ubers around. You want to have 3 or 4 beers and not have to worry that you're going to get home safe and make bad decisions and things of that nature. So a lot of our beers here are in the 4 and 5% range, and we want our products to be enjoyed and you to be able to drink a lot of them. So nice, light, crisp. It is an ale, a little bit of strawberry flavor, but not overpowering, and it's a great drinking beer. It's our best-selling product, especially during the summer months. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, both those I am really enjoying, and I like the rosé touch to that. It's pretty good. You can definitely highlight that flavor. But you also have an IPA here that you worked on creatively with Bootsy
Bootsy.
Collins.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
how was
Shout
that?
out to Bootsy
yeah, how was
Collins.
that process making an IPA with the legend
was
Bootsy
incredible.
Collins?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It still is awesome on a daily basis.
So he really wanted to be involved with
Oh,
the whole
yeah.
process of everything.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They're still very involved.
Very much involved. Yeah.
Awesome.
And they're
And,
great. I mean, they'll push it. They'll tag us in everything that they're doing. They're totally bought in, and yeah, it means a lot to us.
Yeah. So, you know, honestly, it was. You mentioned the dream earlier. Who I would get up on stage. Bootsy's been one of my dreams for forever.
Get
I mean,
Parliament up there, yeah.
I personally think the man's probably responsible from a tree perspective for half the music that
Yeah.
everybody listens to. Plus,
Yeah.
I mean,
Quite the influence.
you can't trace anything back that, you know, he's influencers of artists that were listened today. So when we created this whole concept, music and beer, there were 2 people that were local to Cincinnati that were on my list to try and do a collaboration with. This is all the way back to conceptual phase. One was Bootsy, and the other was Peter Frampton, who's no longer in town.
Okay.
And you know, since we've opened, I've reached out a couple of times, and I reached out to the Bootsy Collins Foundation a couple of months ago, and we got a response back. And Bootsy's wife, Patty, came in, and his daughter, Nicole, and we sat down, and we started to create the concept around this beer. And they appreciated what we stood for from a music perspective and the vibe of the place, and obviously that mutual respect going back their direction. But we wanted to kick it up a notch. There's a lot of stuff going on in town to save King Records, which is where a lot of the roots and the James Brown records and all that was recorded here locally in Cincinnati. And what we decided to do was not only collaborate on the beer, but make this a way to impact our community, which is very vital to all of us. And so every part of a Bootsy IPA sale, we donate funds back to the Bootsy Collins Foundation, which then gets put back into the community, and we're gonna jointly try to revitalize King Records and do a lot of great stuff in town.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome. Yeah, and the labeling on that can is fantastic,
That
by the
was,
way, too. So
I thought I might retire after doing that
it's so
project.
good. The colors of it,
Thank you.
the fretboard as like the guitar there.
Yeah,
I mean,
I had to
pretty
figure
incredible.
out a way to utilize our logo, our
Mhm.
brand standards, essentially going up across the can like that. I was like, what am I gonna do to represent Bootsy well? But it worked really well for me. I had a lot of fun with it, and Bootsy was super easy to work with. Saw it the first time and totally geeked out, and it was awesome. Just he came up, he probably hugged me like 10 times in one day, and I went home, took a picture of the can for my dad back in New York,
That's
and
awesome.
told him I think I'm done working at Fretboard. I've reached my peak.
Yeah,
So-
no, you're
that's
not.
it.
No, you're
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
No, you're not.
Yeah, so Mitch has actually decided to retire on air today.
Yes, on the podcast, Joe.
Sorry,
Tell
sorry,
everybody.
Joe. He did not tell you that before
Yeah.
the interview. here.
I will
man.
not accept that recipe.
I'd imagine some of the conversations with Bootsy music-wise are pretty incredible. I mean, you get a
Yeah.
guy like that in front of you that's, played at some of the biggest venues on this planet and
Yep.
met some of the most influential music makers over the last, 3, 4, 5 decades. I
You're
mean,
right.
have some of those conversations come up, and have you dug on him a little bit at times?
It's just pretty surreal, I'm just a small little guy here in Cincinnati, and just in casual conversations, it always kills me. Like Patty or Bootsy would be like, hanging out with Slash, or we're
Yeah, he's
hanging out
like,
with
I'm going to
Dr.
hang out with
Dre,"
Snoop Dogg
or,
over,
like,
when
they're
we're at
just-
the Hollywood Walk of Fame, like doing stuff out there, and it's crazy.
Or Patty called us, and we were trying to organize. There's some stuff coming up. I don't know if I'm at liberty to say, but just we might be able to get Chuck D to play at your place, or just
Sweet.
just names like
they have
that.
so many
and
connections that they're literally
just
just
check
like,
the-
yeah,
it just makes I'm like that's awesome. let's make that happen.
figure it out.
But
Yeah.
they're wonderful.
Yeah, they're
Bootsy
great.
came. He
Patty's a
launched the beer
sweetheart.
with us. It launched on August 17th. We had a music festival. He got up on stage. They had dancers, and we poured the beer out of that guitar behind you, which has a tap handle built into it.
Yep, he wrote. I
wow.
probably shouldn't even say what it says on there because I will say it and it'll sound inappropriate. So maybe I won't say what it says on there. But come on into the brewery and
Check it out.
Check it out because it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, you guys have been fantastic with your time, and thank
Thank
you
you.
for allowing the Be Different podcast to be here and kind of learn more about Fretboard. And hopefully this interview serves as at least a good storyline for you and your team, and for all the listeners out there that haven't been here. Make sure you check this place out. It's awesome. The best place probably to look at the schedule that you guys have. Take a look at your website or social
Yeah.
media handles.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, they're both at Fretboard Brewing. You'll be able to find us. Pretty active on both social media platforms, so you'll see everything that's coming up pretty easily.
Okay, well, you're not off the hook quite yet because we always finish with one question before we end every single interview. This is actually the sixth brewery that we've been to here locally. So I think this is it for us. This is the
Cool.
last brewery that we have on the tour here. But our name is Be Different, and we're all about highlighting local businesses, companies, entrepreneurs here in Cincinnati. Our team feels like there's a lot of incredible people in the area doing awesome things, and so we're excited to highlight you guys. So our last question is always, what makes you and your team different here at Fretboard Brewing?
Well, I mean, the uniqueness is the team, right?
Mhm.
Every person's unique, and I think I hope what we're accomplishing here is a collective of voices that are heard every day. I truly feel like we have a team that's marching towards the same goals, and those are the two goals I mentioned earlier, right? To have an awesome music venue and to have awesome liquid. And I think, gosh, we're small potatoes, right? I think we got 25 or 30 people on staff right now.
Total, yeah, with bartenders.
Total with bartenders. But
Yeah.
like Mitch said, we've already got committees of 5 people and committees doing this, and we get everybody's voice, and I think that's what's going to make us successful.
Mhm.
It is
Yeah.
about the people.
I'd say between everybody who's here full time, especially, they're so bought into the music side of things, and that's a passion. I don't play music; I just love music,
Mhm.
and it inspires all of my artwork. It inspires pretty much everything I do outside of the brewery, honestly. So, for me to be here is a big part of what I love to do on my own time. And I think that's the same goes for Joe. It goes for pretty much everybody on the team. They're bought in to both sides 100%. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Really enjoyed getting to know you guys a little bit,
thank you,
learning
Brad.
about your
Appreciate
team
you.
here.
Thank
so
you. Appreciate it.
next time I come back, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna rap on stage. I'm gonna have Joe
gotcha.
playing the drums.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Gotcha.
know,
Yeah.
make it happen
I
next time.
secretly want to have a hip hop festival here. So I have some connections, and I do want to make this happen. So we'll talk about it.
All right. Fair enough.
Come back on the 17th when the Fretboard band's playing, and you can rap your 16 bars
There
over
you
the
go.
top of
All right,
Yeah,
let's
you
do
could be our
I-
fretboard like lead vocalist.
So I'm marking it on the schedule right now. Guys, just let me know when. Just call me in, and then I'll get off stage quickly.
There you go.
So-
All right, cool. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, fellas.
All right, Brad.
All right.
Appreciate it.
See ya.
Thanks, bud.